So obviously, we couldn't get to the track this week, but for sure next week. I've got some time. You've got some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get it done next week. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dipped in Tone, episode 5 already.
Crazy. Super crazy.
God. Yeah. Well, first of all, a few shout outs, some thanks. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
We hit it today.
Oh, we did?
We hit it.
Well, I'll be dipped in shit. That's
Go.
amazing.
Yeah, I updated my phone and they changed where to take a screenshot. So it literally took me like all morning to figure out how to screen cap it. But I do have a picture of it. So I'll share it.
Zach's more of an analog technology kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's an analog man in a digital world.
It needs a button or a switch that obviously is labeled. I can't figure it out.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for the support this early on. It's been really incredible. We've had a blast doing this. So thank you for subscribing. And don't forget now, officially, we're everywhere fine podcasts are downloaded. So that's iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I need to double check. I thought I put it to Google, but if not, I'll do it this week.
Okay. Well, we'll do that when we do the track this week.
Yeah. We'll get it all done.
And we're adding one new feature. It's not happening this week, but it'll be happening next week. And I have to give credit where credit is due. I stole this idea from the Tone Control podcast. I got to be a guest on their show last week. So shout out to Tone Control. If you like this show, you're going to like that show. So go show them some love. But what they do is they have a Discord server for their podcast. And, you know, they chat and do things in between shows and everything. But what was really cool is while they were recording the show, they had a private voice chat room open for a few of their supporters. So you could listen into the show in real time and like make comments. And, you know, we'll read comments on the show and questions and things like that. So I think what we're going to do is on my Discord, there's a Rhett Shull Discord server. One of my mods made a room for the Dipped in Tone podcast. We're going to add a voice channel to that. And for our Patreon supporters, you guys are going to be able to join in and listen while we're recording the show and comment and do all kinds of stuff. You won't be able to talk. You'll be muted because that would be a total shit show.
Oh my God, it sounds like a subway train.
Yeah. But you'll be able to tune in and listen. We usually record on Friday mornings, Eastern time, Thursday or Friday mornings, Eastern time. So, yeah, and you guys can sign up for Patreon down below. I think it's, $2 a month?
Yeah, that's the only tier right now. It's just $2. Which is...
Yeah, we're really raking in the cash.
Yeah, we're well on our way to paying for our mortgage and everything.
This is my retirement plan, dude.
We can barely get a coffee a week.
Well, no, in all reality, the goal is to... grow the Patreon just to, you know, support the show to get to the point where we can hire an editor to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And just, you know, do that kind of stuff. And you guys are helping us out with that. So thank you to the Patreon supporters that have already jumped on. You guys are legends. So I think that's it for housekeeping.
I think so too. I think I hear my dog.
Is that your dog?
Oh man. But yeah, that's it. So what's going on for you right now, man?
Not a whole lot this week to report, you know, just working on some videos. It was one of those weeks where I put out a video on Sunday and I like getting something big done early on in the week because then it makes me feel like, great, this is going to be a good week. I'm ahead of the curve here. I'm on the ball. And then I really fell behind. So Monday we went and looked at a bunch of houses, didn't find anything we liked. And then just got caught up. So just finished my second video for the week. It's uploaded now, and I'm actually going to finish uploading it after we record this Friday morning. It's the Strymon Night Sky review.
Oh, yeah. Did you figure out how to use that thing?
I did. And actually, by the time this goes up, my video will be out. So, yeah, the review basically is I really like it. It's not a pedal that I would use every day. It's not a pedal that I would put on a pedal board personally, because I'm not exactly the target demographic for that pedal, I think. I think it's for someone who's into sound design and interesting tones. And I think it's an amazing tool for people who are film scoring, or doing any kind of production work like that, which requires really unique soundscapes and things like that. It's amazing. But for guys like you and I, it's a little overkill.
Man, I don't actually have anything that kind of is that as far as like a creative tool, it like lives in that realm.
Right.
Because every time I get something like that, I think, oh, this is neat, but I can't find a use for it like in the day to day as I play guitar. And for me, I just kind of get rid of those things. But though, like I feel like I should dive into that a little bit more so I can have some things to get the creative juices flowing, because it is super helpful to get out of your box and not just like throw another overdrive on your pedal board.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been a big fan of like the hologram, infinite jets.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. It's so wild, but as an inspiration machine, it's really cool. Like it'll do sounds that nothing else will do. Same thing with like the Chase Bliss Mood.
Right.
We should do an episode on these kind of pedals, these like kind of just out there creative.
I've never even played any of them, so you'll have to like take the lead.
Well, it's interesting. Like I don't understand. So I made an Instagram post about the Mood this week, and I don't understand it, but I'm not exactly sure you're supposed to understand it. Like I'm not entirely sure that's a pedal that you like approach with, hey, this is the exact sound I have in my head, and I'm gonna approach this pedal and dial it in. I think it's more of like, okay, cool, let's see what happens now when I do this,
Right.
And that's kind of what the Night Sky is too, a little bit.
Yeah, as a creative tool, I think it's super useful, but for me, like those things tend to really kind of like they just I can't if I can't figure it out really quickly, I just think this is silly. And in a lot of instances, like some of the things that that a lot of pedals can do, not so much like the infinite jets, but maybe something like the blooper or things like that, which are cool ideas. I feel like I could just do crappy loops on like my computer, and it's one of the go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, but I think the point of the looper or the blooper is like, and I've never played one, but from what I've seen, like Paul Davids is a big fan of it. Jason Isbell actually has been using it a lot. Have you seen that on his Instagram?
No.
Which of all people, I would not have pegged him, but he uses it and he gets some really interesting. It's not like a jam man looper kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's something completely different. You ever watch that channel Knobs, the demo channel Knobs?
Yeah, I know that it's basically his signature thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm too much of a millennial boomer, I think, to like get, because like I remember years ago now, I would ask on like Facebook and Instagram, mostly Facebook, like, whose demos do you like? This is before, I kind of like carved my own niche in the pedal market, and everyone was like, Knobs. I'm like, who is Knobs? Mm-hmm. And so I YouTubed him, and it's like, what is going on? Like, why are there action figures on the screen? Like, I don't really, it's not my thing. Like,
I love it, man. I love it. And he got in touch a few months ago. He sent out a book. Like he did the Pedal Crush book. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So he was instrumental, I think, in putting that book together. And we just chatted for a minute over email. But I've watched his stuff for years because from a production value standpoint, like you have to understand, I'm a nerd for like visuals,
right? Yeah,
color grading and the shots, and so I watch Knobs videos half just to see like what he's doing and the text that he's using, and it's just brilliant to me. There's also another channel out there called Red Means Recording, and he's more of like an EDM producer. He's a guy out in Seattle, but for years he was doing like the OP1 videos. Do you ever see that Teenage Engineering OP1 synth?
Yes.
Yeah. I really want one, but they stopped making them now, and so they've gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Price wise, Rick has one. that just sits around, just sits on a shelf. And so I'm thinking about just
take
going down there and just swiping it. Like, I mean, I buy it from it. But anyway, so yeah, Red Means Recording has been doing these incredible videos. Same kind of idea, right? Like camera directly over on the table. But I love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like, so many people ask me, like, what guitar stuff do you watch? And really, like, I don't watch that much guitar stuff. I mean, I'll watch Anderton's and That Pedal Show, and I mean, your channel, of course. And I watch Rick's channel and a few other things, but not like all the time. Normally, when I'm on YouTube, I'm watching Tested or something,
Tested. Yes.
You know, it's totally different. But
how many hours have we both wasted together watching Adam Savage's one day builds?
Oh, countless, like more than a day's worth.
I have a total man crush on Adam Savage.
Oh, I have his book. I bought a signed copy of his book. It's over here. It's on a music stand. And I really want to send him, when I do the updated version of this for this Halloween, I want to send him one of these.
Yeah.
Because I can't focus. I think he would really appreciate this because, I mean, for those that are listening, I made a pedal called the Positron Collider, which is essentially a big muff, but decked out in Ghostbusters art. And like little things about it, like the big gain knob is actually the same knob that's on the trap in Ghostbusters 2. So I'm like, it's super just silly. But yeah. I think I could find people that know those people and send him one. That's on my to-do list later this year.
That's the thing I've learned being in this industry, like around the music industry and stuff. You are really only a couple of steps away from pretty much anyone in like the film world or the production world or whatever, because a lot of those people are also musicians or guitar players or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you ever think about that? You ever think about like, man, I wonder who owns people who own a Mythos pedal that I would be like really just surprised.
Oh no, I have a few friends. I have a friend that works at Nickelodeon, and he says anytime you're in California, you come and we'll do a tour of Nickelodeon. I have another guy that works at Pixar, and my God. I've sent pedals to people that do film scores and scores for TV, and so it's humbling the number of people that I've met who have done things that I really respect, that are totally outside the guitar community. So
yeah. So what's new with you this week?
Well, you text me about it, and I think it's about time I come clean. I'm going to open a law firm and finally step into the shoes that I have bought for myself.
Yes. Oh, the blues lawyer. The blues lawyer guitar has shown its face.
There it is. So for those that don't follow me on Instagram, I recently, it was last weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
I traded my 54 reissue Les Paul for a PRS DGT that has shaken my guitar world a bit because I'm absolutely enamored by this guitar. I've played PRSs over the years. I had a Vela, one of the S2 ones, which is a really cool guitar. It's way different, but I've never owned like a core model. And, as nutty as PRS the man is, and as much shade that gets thrown at them, they do know how to make a good guitar.
They absolutely do.
And this one is just, it's a 2012, and it's just the most basic gold DGT, but what a guitar, man. I'm not crazy about the pickups. There's some quirky things with the wiring, like the top volume knob is the bridge, and this is the neck volume. But from just a playability standpoint, I'm absolutely in love with it. So, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When you texted me and said you got a PRS, my initial reaction was like, it's just that.
Oh,
it was just,
no.
But then you sent me a picture of it, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
I always forget how great the PRS body shape looks in gold.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, here's the thing. I can't really do the I call them the lawyer top. And look, I know there's people out there that are probably listening to me right now and like screaming at their computer screen. As a continuation of our discussion last week, this is all personal preference, right? It's all subjective. Yes. But to me, the thing that not just PRS does, but like Gibson and Nags and all these companies do, where you get like the most 3D flamey quilted maple top, and then you slather it in some like bright green or purple stain or something like that, or you do this weird burst where it's like Tilly always says, remember the Wildberry Pop-Tarts? You know, the purple Pop-Tarts with the blue?
Yeah.
They're like Wildberry Pop-Tart guitars. So to me, that's the part of PRS that like just I look at them every time I go to Righteous and I see the wall of all those. It's like, oh man,
you know,
lawyers abound. I've never played a DGT, and I've always heard that like that's the one for like if you're a player, if you're a working guy, like that's the working man's PRS, you know?
Right. Well, it has like basically like a big the McCarty neck, which is a traditional kind of like it's beefy, but it's not unmanageable. But it has 6100 fret wire, so jumbo frets. And then like the body is basically like a McCarty, which is a slightly thicker. Yeah, I think it's slightly thicker than like a
custom 24.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's just really like everything about it's really smart. And I will say that there are some flamey PRS guitars that I do like, but the ones that I like are kind of in the more traditional finishes. Like I really like the Santana yellow.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to some of the green, like the one that was the Super Eagle that John Mayer had. Like I don't know. I don't hate it.
Well, solid. And I should say too, I have a PRS.
You do?
And I do have a soft spot for PRS. So I have a custom 22.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Sorry. Jesus Christ. I have a CE22.
Oh, okay.
Very different than a custom 22. The CE22 from 2008. And that guitar holds a lot of sentimental value to me because it was, it's the guitar that got me through music school. When I started AIM 10 plus years ago, I didn't have a good electric. I had like this Taylor sort of, it was the T5, you know, so it was like a bad electric and a bad acoustic.
Yeah.
And the first day of school, I went in and we had to play this in this performance class, and I went up and plugged this thing into a Marshall, it was a Vintage Modern. Remember the Vintage Modern?
Yeah.
Not their best work. But they had a Vintage Modern half stack, and I plugged this T5, this big hollow thin line T5 into this thing, and it just went whoo, and I couldn't play a note. Like not even a single note would come out. I couldn't play it. So I had to have something, and there was a used 2008 CE22 at Guitar Center. And I bought it, and that guitar that's what I started gigging on. That's what I played every day, hours and hours and hours a day at music school. So I do have a special spot in my heart for the PRS thing.
Man, you know, it's funny. Like I was a hater. I really was like a PRS hater. You know, for years, and I come around before I got this guitar, but I thought they were kind of soulless and like didn't have a vibe. But the more I played them, like I kind of like working at Carter, a lot came through because there's a lot of country dudes and people in Nashville that play, you know, PRS guitars. I started to realize like, oh, these things are like very well made and very resonant, and they feel good. I'm not a huge fan of the pickups. I think the pickups, for most of the ones that I've played, have just never really tickled me, you know? So.
Well, the good news is they're just humbuckers. You can swap them out.
Oh, I've already got another set ordered for this.
So I agree. I think I've had kind of the same thing, the same view of PRS for a long time. It's like, oh, they're just sort of soulless. They're sort of, you know, blah, 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 whatever. And then I met Paul last year quirky guy, but very, very nice.
Yeah.
And when I look at guys like Tim Pierce, for example, or David Grissom, the DGT, right? There's a list of there's several players that like swear by the PRS thing that I really respect and look up to, and think about, like, oh well, if Tim Pierce is playing them, I mean, obviously he's got a deal with PRS. I think there's
Right.
some kind of obligation there to play the stuff, but still, I do appreciate the PRS approach to guitar building, which is, the 50s and 60s were like a golden era for guitar making, but we can do better.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the PRS way. We can do it better now.
Did I don't know if you saw this it was probably close to a year ago or 6 months ago. I don't know. Emerald Cine Guitar in Seattle. They had one of Paul's, I think it was a 57 or a 58. It was still a gold top Les Paul. And I don't know if it was him that sent it to the store or someone had it after him, but there was a letter with the guitar from Paul that said, I'm selling this guitar because we make guitars that sound and feel just as good now. And I was like, damn, like shots fired, And I will say, one of the things that really turned me around was Tim Pierce's video where he had a real burst and then a single cut, or maybe it was one of the double cut McCartys with the new TCI pickups.
Yep.
And I'll be damned if it didn't sound almost the same.
I saw that video too and had the same kind of thought where I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh, yeah, that's maybe we should link that video in the description box.
Yeah, I will.
But because it was him and who else was there with him? I can't remember. It was another LA session guy.
I can't remember either.
But yeah, they were being a late 50s Les Paul and a modern PRS with their new pickups. And that was the thing, I went to this PRS event last year. It's where I met Paul, and I heard him talk. And that is where I sort of, it's like I got a little bit, I went to the PRS event and I heard Paul talk and do kind of his sales pitch thing. And I was like, oh, wow, I get it. But looking back on it, he made a couple of points that I actually found really fascinating and thought were true. And specifically about the pickups, he was talking about Hendrix and the Strat. I think he had a Silver Sky or something he was playing. And he was like, you think about Wind Cries Mary. And Paul said that that's probably one of the best clean guitar tones ever recorded. And I would agree. Wind Cries Mary is my favorite Jimi Hendrix song. I love the sound on that. That was recorded in 68 or 69. I guess you can correct me later, but it was with a brand new sort of off the shelf CBS Strat with brand new pickups at the time, going through essentially a brand new Marshall amp or whatever he happened to be playing. Like, the point is that, we have all this fascination with the vintage gear of it sounding better. But the recordings that we reference of being, sort of the benchmark for great tones, like they were using brand new, just off the shelf Fenders and Gibsons or whatever they happened to be playing at the time.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a case to be made for that.
Sure. Paul was the first guy, because for like a while on YouTube, he was doing like a pretty guerrilla style YouTube videos where he was just talking about like concepts. And he held up a piece of rosewood and knocked it with his finger. And he said, these have a sound. And he was like, this is the wood they make marimbas and like xylophones or, things out of. And I was like, I had never thought of that. Like how crucial, like the tonality of the wood and how it has to have a character before you can even turn it into something. And that's like a whole argument in and of itself about tone wood. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm probably going to get another one day, another PRS. So.
All right. So then my next question is, what type of law are you going to be practicing? Personal injury?
I think copyright. We'll go into copyright.
Copyright? Yeah. Okay. I guess copyright law is pretty lucrative. You'd be in the entertainment business, so you could probably your next one then will probably have to be one of the private stock, Paul's guitars, 14, 15,000. So you can get your flamey
Oh,
top.
I think I got to get a Dragon.
Yeah, I think so too. 25 grand probably.
Yeah. Easy.
Now that is the part of PRS that I can't get along with.
No, me either.
Spending that much on a new guitar. It's the same thing with cars, right? I love cars. I think we have that in common.
Yeah.
We're both car guys to an extent. But I look at some of the new cars that are out there today. It's like, man, $100,000 for a new Audi, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, the second you drive that car off the lot, it's worth 75. Same thing with these guitars, these like private stock, whatever. You know, you're dropping 10, 11, 12,000. With a few exceptions, I think the Super Eagles, the John Mayer Super Eagles, I think that was a smart buy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know of two people that bought two from Righteous. Actually, I'm sorry. I know one guy. I don't know him personally, but the guys at Righteous filled me in on this. So when the first run of Super Eagles came out, the guy bought it. I think the first run was like 10 or 11,000.
I think around 11. Yeah.
So bought it, left it in its case, waited for the first run to run out, and sold it for 17. Bought one of the second run, and did the same thing. Bought it, waited for the run to run out, sold it for more, and then ended up just buying a third one to keep. Outside of that, though, like just buying a private stock, whatever, you know, wood library, whatever it is, the thing that they do, dude, you're never going to get your money out of that guitar.
No. And I think there's a line that has to be drawn over, like, is this an investment or is this something you really want to keep? And that I kind of works into some of the things that I think we're going to talk about today. But, you know, I'm not about, I never buy anything unless it's a deal. I never buy anything with the intention of selling it. You know, at least that's how I am. Unless I find something for insanely cheap.
Right.
I'm never buying investment pieces. You know.
Agreed. I never do that either. But I always have at the back of my mind that if the proverbial shit hit the fan, it's nice to know that I've got, you know, money tied up in these assets that I could liquidate if I needed to. Right. Hopefully that never happens.
Yeah.
But the recording world, the music production and sound mixing and everything world is really fascinating in that respect, because right now, because of companies like UA, there's a big shift to just completely eliminating hardware,
right?
Mic preamps, compressors, EQs, all that kind of stuff in favor of software plugins, which is great. The convenience of it is great, but a lot of these plugins are crazy expensive, man. And if this is your thing, I mean, I probably have, over the last 10 years of buying and stuff, I probably have close to $10,000 in plugins that I've spent and bought over the years. That money is just, you're not going to sell a plugin on Reverb. Yeah. Like, you're not ever going to get that money back. Now, if you earn a living from the from your mixing tools and things like that, then, you know, obviously it pays for itself. But my air conditioning's kicking on, of course.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, good. Well, my noise gate's working. But anyways, jumping off of that, first topic here. How many guitars do you need? Jacob Darrow asked on Instagram, what's the optimal amount of guitars and what would we pick? Too many and they just don't get played. Too few and you don't cover your bases. I feel like it's a misconception that you need a certain guitar to cover a bass. Could be interesting. I agree.
That was
should point out
that last sentence was my thought.
Yeah. So we should point out that friend of the show, Keith Williams from 5 Watt World, has a great video on YouTube about how many guitars do you need. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what do you think?
Man, you know, like I said in that last, I feel like it's a misconception that you need a certain guitar. I feel like that's really true. I think we get tied up in the idea like, oh, if I'm playing something Hendrixy, I gotta have a Strat, or if I'm playing country, I gotta have a Tele. You know, I feel like the most important thing above all is that you find instruments that you connect with and that you feel comfortable on, because if you have that, then not everything can be done, but your world's so much bigger when
Yeah.
you can immediately connect with an instrument and say, okay, I know how to coax a little bit more snap out of this guitar and get like a little bit more of a country or a telly vibe, or I know how to, roll my volume back and sweeten up the neck pickup to make it sound a little bit more stratty or whatever. So to me, I think just to try your best not to be redundant if you don't have to.
Yeah, I agree. I have my thought process is sort of, so there's three things that I consider: pickup combination, scale length, and body type. Okay, so the combination of those three, because I think those are the three biggest contributing factors to a guitar's tone. And wood combination I would put as number 4. So first and foremost, pickup type. How many humbucker guitars do I have? How many single coil guitars? How many P90s? Personally, I like to have one of every sort of major pickup combination. So a double humbucker guitar, a Strat style single coil, a Telly, a P90 guitar, a Filtertron, and a mini humbucker. Right? So that's 6. And you could go further than that for sure. But for me, I think for if you're trying to do session work, you're trying to play gigs and things like that, I think that can cover your bases. Then solid bodies, semi-hollow, and hollow. Now, depending on what you do, I don't necessarily think you really need a hollow body guitar like a Gretsch, for example. That's kind of a niche thing, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But semi-hollow and solid bodies, for sure, man. Whether it's like a thin line Telly or 335 or whatever. And then scale length, Fender scale and Gibson scale.
Yeah.
So for me, what that looks like, having a combination of all those three things, it's about 7 to 9 guitars, I think.
Yeah. I think so often people think, well, I got to have all these different sounds, but unless it's your job, unless you're earning a living playing guitars, like, does like the bedroom, the weekend gigging guitarist, do we really need that many options? Like, dare I say most people could get by with having a solid humbucker guitar and a solid Fender style single coil guitar. I think that covers
most pro
everything.
players could get away with that.
Yeah.
In fact, I know a lot and I did for a long time, like going back to the PRS thing, that I had the PRS for the first 2 years of gigging. And granted, I was just playing bar gigs and church gigs and things like that. But that was my one guitar. My friend Benjamin Forehand, one of the best guitar players I know, does a lot of big touring gigs in the CCM and gospel world. He just did a live record with Tasha Cobbs over at the Ryman. He's a working guy, and he's been a working guy for a long time. He has one guitar. He plays an Elliott Tone Master. Huh. And that's his. I mean, he has a couple others, but they're, I think, hand-me-downs from his dad. But he shows up to every gig, every session, every rehearsal with his one guitar. And it's been refretted 3 or 4 times,
Right.
But what do you really need? You need one, and that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, Guthrie Trapp, fantastic player, and I think he has a couple tellies and a 335, and that's mainly what he plays. I don't know if I've ever seen him with any other style guitar,
right?
Electric guitar, anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, you look at guys to bring Tim Pierce up again. Tim, I think, is more. I did a session earlier this year before the pandemic hit, and I was packing my stuff up. It was a session here in town, and I was it was 3 days recording. It was a whole record, 10 songs. So I was going to be in the studio for 3 days, and I'm packing up all my stuff, and I had 5 guitars that I was bringing, and I was feeling self-conscious about it. I was like, man, I'm going to be that guy shows up with all this gear and gets weird looks or whatever. And I texted Tim. I was like, hey, man, how many guitars do you normally bring to a session? He's like, well, it depends on the session, but I think the number was between 12 and 15.
Jeez.
I was like, oh, okay, I'm good. But his point was especially out in the LA scene, if a producer calls for a sound, if a producer says, "Hey, I need why don't you try your Les Paul on this? Why don't you try your Telly on this? Why don't you try your Gretsch on this?"
Right.
In a high pressure, like fast paced LA session scene, like you got to have that. If the producer calls for it and you don't have it, well, there's a chance that you don't get called again.
Right.
You know, for what I'm doing, it's way lower pressure than
you just you just need to get a used Variax. Perfect.
Yeah.
You got all the sounds. They're on the knob. They're right there. You just click, 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 click.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I went to a gig in Nashville. This was a few years ago, and a guy had one of those things, and I was watching him, and I was like, but when they were setting up, and I was like, oh, look at this freaking guy. and then he started playing, and he was like going through a couple different. They were like running just the beginning of a few tunes, and I was like, huh, shit, that sounds pretty good.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look, man, I've been proven wrong so many times. I've never played actually, that's not true. I have played the Variax. Variax?
Variax. Well, yeah. V-A-R-I-A-X.
Yeah, because a Variac is a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not my thing, but the thing I'm trying to work on, Zach, is not being such a judgmental asshole all the time.
Morgan tells me, you're such a mean girl. And I am.
Yeah, me too. I am too. I'm sorry. I really am. Like, I don't. Yeah, I have, like, why do we have that? And it's not about anything else in life other than just guitar stuff. I don't do that thing in anywhere else other than the guitar world.
You might think that a little bit about my bicycle.
No, I don't actually.
Okay, good.
I don't. Because your bike, I think, is actually perfect for you. It's a flat bar, hybrid, like road sort of cruiser kind of thing. Great.
Yep.
I actually don't have that with bikes.
Okay, well, fine.
Because I'm not. It's funny, in the cycling world, it is very much like the guitar world, where you have, like, depending on what kind of bike brand you ride or what style of bike you ride, there's like a stereotype associated with that. Like, Cervelos are known for being dentist bikes and all that kind of stuff. Like, but I'm not that into it. It's a
dentist bike.
Yeah, it's like a running thing in the cycling world. I know we have a few cyclists that listen to the show. You guys can comment down below, but yeah, I'm working on not being such a dick.
Yeah, I've gotten better. I've definitely gotten better. I just usually say the first thing that comes to my head, and it's usually something rude, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Occasionally I have put it into a video, you know. The whole Gibson rant was me being well, it was true. I still stand by everything I said in that video.
Right. Yeah.
I do feel bad about, like, putting Jim DeCola in the video and kind of calling him out, because he didn't. I learned later that I don't think he had any say in him being in the video. I think it was kind of they forced his hand to, like, go and talk about how great that dip switch Les Paul was, and so I feel a little bad about that. But
I think we need a little bit more honesty in the guitar. Well, in everything in our lives, but I feel like some of the people in the guitar community are very just like everything's great, everything's good. It's not, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to say, hey, this is really stupid, and that's, I think, it's fair, as long as you're not being just a super judgmental jerk to the people that make it or whatever. It's like you can mess up and make a bad product, and it's normal,
Yeah, totally. I mean, big companies can do it. Small companies can do it. I look at, like, Boss, for example, arguably one of the greatest guitar brands out there. Last year they made those Wazacraft headphones.
Oh, yeah.
I think those are dumb. And I think for $400 to spend $400 on Bluetooth headphones that you can't use to do anything but just to listen to your guitar while you play it, it's just dumb.
It's so funny that you said that. I did an AMA this morning, and someone asked, like, how would you, like, play guitar on the couch? And I had no idea that they were that expensive. And I said, you should just get those Waza, like, Katana headphones. I didn't realize. Oh man.
No, they sent them to me last year to check out, late last year, and I was gonna do a video, and I had it like perfectly planned because Tilly and I on New Year's Eve we flew to Paris, because at the time I thought they were like really cool, like, oh man, this is cool. It's like, you know, your Bluetooth amp, and then you can use them to like record yourself and like practice and all this stuff. So I was like, here's what I'll do. I'll take them and just a guitar on this trip. We were going out there for a wedding.
Right.
But we took a vacation, and so we were there, and I was like, cool, I'll just take these and a guitar, and then I'll make a video of like, hey, this is like the perfect travel setup, or like if you're trying to, you know. And then I got there and started using them, and I was like, well, wait a second, you can't record on them. So there was no way for me to even make my video because like you couldn't hear the sounds that I was playing.
Just put them, do like this and put them over the microphone.
Literally, that's what I thought about doing, is like have to sit them like on a desk and then put my Zoom next to the thing. And then it was like, okay, well, $400, like what else would I buy? Like, could I actually recommend if somebody texted me and was like, hey man, thinking about spending $400 on these headphones, what would I say? And I was like, no, go buy a used HX Stomp or used Iridium, and then just plug your headphones into it.
Or get one of those like apps for your phone, like to practice with, and just use earbuds.
Exactly. And so I just didn't make the video. It's like, I can't recommend these. And then I told, it was actually Sweetwater that had sent them out to do a video with. And I told Sweetwater, I was like, hey, you guys want these back? I'll, cause I'm not going to use them. And I still have them somewhere. So,
man, I don't know. Like, what do you think is the best way to practice and be respectful of the other people in your household?
I actually like playing unplugged.
Me too.
Lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to practice. Not all the time, but I think it is a really good way to practice because it can kind of eliminate the sort of element of messing with your amps, your pedals, your gear, and it's just you and the guitar.
Yeah.
I think it makes you focus on different things of different parts of your playing. So that's what I would do, practice unplugged. If you had to have the amp thing, there's a lot of stuff out there now. The app idea is really good. I think the Strymon Iridium is great. I think the HX Stomp is really great for that. I think if you want to use your tube amp, get something like the Captor X or an aux. There's so many options out there now for like the headphone guitar amp thing.
I think the most important thing about finding time to practice is that it's easy. Because the little Boss mini amp that I have, the one we played the Klon through.
Yeah, the battery powered thing. It actually sounds good.
The batteries are still going. I've only put 4 AA's in it, and it's for like 2 years. But it sounds why I like that thing is it has a headphone out, which is cool, but it's like $100-something, and you can play like just plug up in the couch, just set it by you. It has a delay, has a couple different gain sounds, and it's just like it sounds fine. Like I don't think like when you practice that you need to have like a huge pedal board in every single sound. You just need to practice.
Yeah. You need something that's just going to get you in the ballpark and get you playing. And you're right. Having the lowest barrier to entry possible, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Because like I rarely ever practice in here because unless I'm like already working on a video or something and I've already got my stuff set up, because you've got to come down, you got to turn the computer on, turn your speakers on, turn on an amp, get stuff patched into the patch bay, pull up console. Like there's a bunch of steps that you have to do to get a sound pulled up.
Yeah.
And so I don't really ever practice in here. I'll just go grab a guitar and sit on the couch and like practice that way.
Yeah. I think for me too, like now is different, but and this might be kind of the case for you because that's where you work. And sometimes trying to play or practice where you work, it puts you in a weird mental space. At least for me. Like I just feel like I'm always in this room, and when I have my guitar in my lap, I just want to not have to stress or think about like my job.
Yeah.
So, but that's not most people. So
well, that's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of sort of unique to us, I guess.
It's so funny. Like I think about that a lot, because for the most part, the people that I interact with, and probably the same with you, are people in this world, and this is how they make a living. But the majority of people that play guitar are just people, and that's their hobby or the thing they do for fun. It's like not any source of income. It's just their way of having a good time. And in a way, I'm kind of jealous of that,
Yeah, but I think that's why it's important to have something outside of guitar that you do that is your version of that.
Yes.
For us, it's the cycling thing where it's like I'm a beginner at it. I'm not that good at it.
What?
Compared to like real cyclists and people that are really into it.
Right.
Hell, compared to Josh Scott from
Yeah.
JHS, like a short ride for that dude is like 52 miles.
Oh yeah. I the last time I saw, I mean, he posted all the time, but the last story I saw where he posted how far he went was like 47 miles. I was like, good God.
Yeah, and for him, he's like, yeah, short recovery ride today. I'm having some knee pain. I'm like, dude, 40 miles for me is like a big day. That's like a big day on the bike.
I don't drive that far in a day in my car,
Well, to be fair, he did just ride across the state of Missouri like a couple weeks ago. He just rode the entire state, like he and a couple other guys, on gravel the whole way.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
It's
so
awesome.
compared to those guys, I'm like a total just noob beginner, go out and ride a few days a week kind of thing. But I think it's cool. It's cool to have that thing that's like completely different than, and I think this is true for, well, yeah, probably a lot of people that listen to this podcast. Like, actually, I'd be interested to know in the comments, what is guitar to you? Is it your hobby? Is it something that you do to like escape from work and enjoy and like learn about and have fun with? Is it something that's more serious, more professional, somewhere in between? Like, I actually want to know.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. And I, like to that end, I also like to know what people do to kind of, if they are in the guitar world, like what do you do to relieve the stress or find inspiration? Because for me, like I try to just completely not touch it, watch a movie, play a video game, like dive into something and not touch guitar for days. And then when I come back to it, I feel like, all right, let's come up with something cool,
Yeah, totally agree. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So we got another topic here.
Sure.
We actually got a couple topics. I'm trying to pick.
Yeah.
Let's pick one that I like. Don't forget, you guys can email us at dippedintone@gmail.com.
Yes.
Right? That is the email address.
dippedintone@gmail.com. I've refrained from putting it in the description for fear of getting overloaded with spam emails. Because I don't know if you saw, but yesterday my phone number got attached to a spoof. So like a robot call company was using my telephone number to call people and scam them. And they called me back. So since yesterday morning, I've gotten over 50 phone calls and a bunch of text messages, many of them very ugly. So
I don't believe in hell, but if there is a hell, I like to think that there's a special place in hell reserved for robocall companies, people that start a business and think, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to bother people for money.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredibly annoying. But that's why I haven't put the email in the description, because I feel like it's going to immediately be picked up and we're just going to see nothing but
probably a good idea.
Stupid.
So anyway, dippedintone@gmail.com. You can email us. That took a weird turn. So let's see here. Speaking of like so Chris Evans asked things we wish we knew when we started out playing, / starting a professional life in the industry. I think it's a good transition to make.
Sure.
We're kind of just talking about that. What do you wish you knew when you started started out?
Well, I think when I started playing guitar, it would be a little bit, well, it would be like learn more theory and be diligent about the education side of guitar because I still don't. I mean, I know the basics of music theory, but I don't know that much. But I think the thing that I know, like the things the things I wish I knew more, like would be more related to my professional side of things. Like I wish, starting out professionally in this industry, in the pedal industry anyway, like hire people to do things that are stupid for you to do yourself and take more time for yourself, but remember to take breaks. Cause even now I can't, like I just can't. I mean, we've talked about it, but I think being able to invest in yourself in all things you do is really important because I feel like so often we think I could do all this myself, and chances are you can't. So you need to like set money back and work really hard so you can invest the time, money, and energy into accomplishing the goals you have for yourself, like in a much more professional and reasonable way, I think.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
When I started out, I wish I would have gotten a guitar teacher early on. When I started playing, nobody in my family plays or does any kind of musical stuff or anything. So I've had to figure kind of everything out on my own. This is before YouTube. And for years, for 4 or 5 years starting out, I was totally self-taught and didn't know any better. And my parents and everyone around me that knew I played guitar thought that was like cool. They thought that was like,
Right.
oh, he teaches himself. He doesn't need guitar lessons. He's learning by himself. That's so crazy. And looking back, it was really those formative years I feel were wasted. Had I had like a really great teacher, someone that not only could have just taught me about guitar and playing, but someone that could have turned me on to music. I wish I'd been turned on to jazz earlier on, like as a young teenager. I wish I'd been turned on to a lot of blues and rock stuff that I didn't find until later in life. And, you know, that would have really, really helped me out. Just someone that could have given me sort of a roadmap to follow.
Right. Yeah.
Rather than just trying to kind of hack it myself. So,
yeah,
if I could go back, that's the biggest thing I would change.
That's my favorite Mitch Hedberg joke is I tried to teach myself how to play guitar, but I didn't know how to play guitar. So I was a terrible teacher.
Yeah.
And like, that's very true. I think so often we think I can figure this out. And I'm guilty of that all the time, especially with design and trying to come up with circuits and sounds. But like, I think one thing that's really important, and this relates to playing and everything, is surround yourself with people who are way better than you. Because I think a lot of times we look at that and we think, it makes you scared or timid, but really it just educates you. And then you have access to, these people who can guide your hand in so many more efficient ways. Efficiency in life is so important.
Well, the other thing I've learned too about that is there's two parts to that. You have to, surround yourself with people that are better than you, but you also have to have the mental posture of being open and willing to learn from those people.
Yeah.
Because too often we can be in those situations where you're like the worst person in the room or the least qualified person in the room, and you're threatened by that.
Yeah.
And it does you no good because you're constantly afraid, or you're self-conscious, or you're threatened by other people, and you're not open and willing to learn from them. That's something to be aware of. It's not just being surrounded by people that are better than you. It's being willing to learn from those people.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm so easily intimidated, especially with guitar playing. And like, it's very nerve-wracking to be in a room with someone who is like light years better than you. But I haven't found anyone that looked at me thinking Like, this guy doesn't have any clue what's going on. They've always been so encouraging and supportive. And even when like when I went and did those videos with Wildwood, with Greg Koch, like he was jamming on stuff. He's like, it's just on the 4 and then this, and I'm like, okay, if the root note is,
Yeah.
He had to tell me the chords, and I felt like such an idiot. But like, I don't do that, you know. So he was totally cool, but in the moment, I just felt so deflated and defeated. But ultimately, I'm better for it. So
yeah. Well, and if anyone's ever been in the room with Greg Koch, it's hard to find a better guitar player to be in the room with. He's a bad man. Bad man.
And he's large. He's a large man.
He's a large man.
He's 6'7" or 6'8". He's a tall dude.
Yeah. I met him at NAMM at the Two Rock thing.
Yeah.
You were there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm 6'2", 6'3", and I don't look up at very many people. And yeah, I was like, oh wow, you're giant.
Yeah.
No wonder tellies look so small on you in those videos.
That's why his signature telly is slightly larger.
Yeah.
Because like his Reverend Gristle Master, is that
Gristle King or something like that?
Well, the Gristle King's the pedal. He's got all sorts of gristly things. Yeah, it's a bigger telly body. But even then, it looks like a small guitar.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, go look at any of those Wildwood videos with Greg Koch playing like a Strat, and it looks like a toy.
Oh yeah, or any of those old Fender like clinic performances he did.
Yep.
Because like sitting down, like he still looks big, but when he stands up, you're just like, holy God, like how big is this guy?
Oh man, yeah, I think that's pretty good advice. I'm trying to, in my professional life now, I'm trying to gauge at what point do I need to hire someone to come on and help me.
Yeah.
Tilly does a lot and helps a lot with, especially like the more administrative stuff, like emails and email campaigns and like doing that kind of stuff that helps generate the income. But I have projects I want to do. Like I'm about to start working on my second video course, and that is, I learned from the first video course, basically like running 2 YouTube channels at one time, like making twice the amount of videos. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
But it needs to be done. And so I'm trying to just consider, like, at what point do I hire someone to come in a few days a week? I mean, it's tough right now because of COVID, but I see it at Rick's place all the time. Like at his studio, he's got his assistant Billy, and Rick is able to get so much more done in a day just having Billy around to do a lot of like, hey, my Instagram post I just played, I need you to transcribe that and put it in a PDF for the Beato Club, or hey, I need you to set up this live stream for me. We're gonna go live at 2:30 and do like all that kind of stuff that I'm having to do on a daily basis myself. At what point does it make more sense to have somebody come in and do that? And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat because I need all that help, because Morgan helps me as much as she could, and then the baby, came, and you can't, when they start moving, you don't have any other time. It's all focused on them. So it is really strange right now, because a lot of the people I talk to say that just hire somebody. And I'm like, you realize there's still like this pandemic, and the thought of bringing a stranger or even someone I know and trust into the house is very nerve wracking, because, I don't want to get sick, because if I get sick, then everything stops.
Right.
So, it's a scary prospect, but it's something that, like, growing pains really stress me out, like taking things to the next level. Cause like the monetary part of it, it can stink to have to start paying somebody, or, you have to like incorporate and start like a corporation, a business, is really stressful too. But it's an evolution that so many of us probably should have already taken and haven't. So,
Oh yeah, I know. I'm doing the LLC thing right now. And then trying to transfer all that over, and like it's a nightmare, but it is true. Like, to do the things that I want to do in the future, you got to have it. And so, And the other thing too with our situation, my entire family lives here. It's like me and my wife, my mom and dad, my sister, like everyone lives in the house. And so to have a person who I might know but is a stranger to them come over 2 or 3 days a week, whatever it is, that's a big ask. So I think for me that'll be something that I feel more comfortable doing once I have our own place. You know, because I'm trying to have a house with a studio that's like separate from the house. Either it's like isolated in a basement or it's a separate like standalone building on the property. You know, to me, if you can do that and keep your workspace and living space separate, then it makes a lot more sense. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we covered a lot of stuff today.
We sure did. That's about it. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. If you made it to the end of the episode, you're a hero, I think.
You get a gold guitar sticker.
Don't forget to check out the Discord server. Just Brett Shull on Discord. It'll be linked down below, and you can join up there. Jump in the Dipped in Tone Discord. There's also the other one for my podcast, the Backstage Journal podcast. Zach is a mod over there.
I didn't know that. Like someone made me a moderator, and I kept getting all these. Like,
I did.
I kept getting all these notifications. I'm like, what happened? Like I was just like, I just came in here to like look at guitar pictures.
Yeah. You can change those notifications. But yeah, we'll be doing that for the patrons probably next week. You guys can join in the voice chat while we're actually recording, so that might be fun.
Sure, it might be.
Might be a total shit show. So we'll figure it out. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And actually, for those of you listening on iTunes or on Spotify, give us a good rating. It helps new people find the show. You know, rate us. You can write a little review down there, and it helps place us higher up on the list.
Yep.
So we can get up one step closer to world domination.
That's it.
That's what we're after. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.